and all these big companies, they have created their market and they have got their customers and they're doing pretty well. Okay, so the first question that comes is that can I become an entrepreneur? Can I compete with these big players in the market? The answer is yes. And let me give you a little bit of history before I go ahead with this presentation and tell you what is very exciting going on right now. If you look at our history, 5,000 years back, the most developed civilizations was actually India, China, Mesopotamia, Greece. Okay, these were the Persia. These were the most developed economies 5,000 years back. And then what happened was there was industrial revolution which happened in Europe, and these European countries, they made big ships and all kind of weapons and all this Vasco da Gamas and Christopher Columbus and all. They came out with ships and they colonized the rest of the world. They made us slaves. We were slaves for 200 to 300 years, and we forgot that we are also as good as them. And then in the 1980s, something happened. We call it the technological revolution, or we call it the knowledge revolution. What happened was the whole world was going through a computerization process. And to do this computerization process, you needed engineers. And one thing that all of you must be knowing, that India is the country which produces the maximum number of engineers, doctors, and professionally skilled people. So, but most of them actually go abroad. The good ones, they go abroad and they work in these big companies. But anyway, we have the biggest manpower resource we have, and very well skilled. So we were in the forefront of this knowledge revolution. And from there, we have seen companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, HCL, Cognizant. Okay, these companies now fight neck to neck with all these big multinationals, and they have carved out a name for themselves. Okay, so thank you very much, Neha ma'am, for taking out a very interesting topic, and it is very relevant to all of you. And today I'll tell you the stories of people, not the Ambanis and Birlas, Tatas and all, who inherited their wealth, not of these people. I want to tell you the stories of people who are children of school teacher, who came out from small villages in Orissa, Kerala, and like that. They were all from middle class family, and today they are big names. Okay, they have really done pretty well. So I've divided my presentation into 3 stages. One is about the ideation, number 2 is about the opportunities, and number 3 is about the process. So I'll take you through the 3 stages, which will give you some amount of idea about if you want to become an entrepreneur, how do you seek the opportunities, how do you actually create that ideas, how do you get those ideas, how do you create the opportunities, and how do you implement those ideas. Okay, so I'll give you a fairly bit idea in the next half an hour, 40 minutes. So let me start with a small video of Micromax. So this will tell you about how this ideation process happens. Tell me if you can hear the sound.
We cannot see the video. Now we can see the video. Yes, sir.
You can hear the sound?
Yes, we can.
शुरू करें? नमस्कार, मेरा नाम राहुल शर्मा है। एक मिडिल क्लास फैमिली में जन्म हुआ। पापा एक सरकारी स्कूल में टीचर थे और दिल्ली की उन गलियों में कभी एक सपना देखा था कि राहुल कुछ बड़ा करना है। अच्छा, मुझे याद है कि उन दिनों बड़ी झिझक के साथ मैंने पापा से 3 लाख रुपए उधार मांगे। घर में सबसे छोटा था तो पापा ने दे भी दिए और 3 और दोस्तों के साथ मिलकर माइक्रोमैक्स की शुरुआत की। आप सब लोगों ने देखते ही देखते माइक्रोमैक्स को देश का नंबर 1 और वर्ल्ड का 10 लार्जेस्ट ब्रांड बना दिया। अच्छा, कुछ गलतियां भी हुई हमसे, पर पहली बार कर रहे थे, काम भी कर रहे थे और सीख भी रहे थे। पर फिर एक ऐसा वक्त आया जब चाइनीज मोबाइल वालों ने मुझे मेरे देश में ही पछाड़ दिया। हारा तो तब भी नहीं था, बस लगा कि हो गया, कर लिया है हासिल तूने जो कुछ भी करना था अपने परिवार के लिए, अपने लिए। पर बॉर्डर पे जो हुआ ना, वो ठीक नहीं हुआ। आपने फिर आवाज दी माइक्रोमैक्स और हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी आत्मनिर्भर भारत का ऐलान कर दिया। बहुत सोचा कि क्या करूं, क्यों करूं, किसके लिए। मुझे लगता है जिंदगी ने एक बार फिर वही लाकर खड़ा कर दिया जहां से सब शुरू किया था। पर इस बार जो कुछ भी करूंगा वो सिर्फ इंडिया के लिए। माइक्रोमैक्स वापस आ रहा है लेकर इन इंडिया के लिए।
Okay, so this is the story of Rahul Sharma, son of a school teacher, middle class family. Okay, and again I said I will not tell you stories of Americans and Europeans. I will not tell you stories of people who have inherited the wealth or people who are coming from business families. These are people like you and me. Okay, who have come from middle class families. The questions that he has asked is very important. क्यों करूं, किस लिए करूं, किसके लिए करूं? Okay, why should I go into entrepreneurship? For whom do I go into entrepreneurship? Why should I become an entrepreneur? These are the questions when it comes to your mind that germinates that seed of entrepreneurship. That is the beginning where you start. For Rahul Sharma, it is for the country. He says that right now I'm not liking it, that the Chinese are dominating these mobiles and they are earning a lot of money from India, and here the Chinese soldiers are killing our soldiers. I'm not liking it. So I want to do it for my country. Okay, this is for my country, this is for my citizens, this is for my people that I want to create something. Okay, so this is the thought process which starts in your mind that I have to do something different for some reason. There is an objective behind it, and I want to be different from the others. Okay, this is the thought process when it comes to your mind. Your entrepreneurship journey has started. Okay, now the question comes that how do we take it forward? So I hope you can see the PPT. So this is something very exciting. This news just came 2 days back. There was a BIMSTEC conference which was going on between BIMSTEC is a joint organization between the Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Southeast Asian countries. And this is where our Prime Minister has announced that there will be 1,000 crore Startup India seed fund. Can you all see the screen? Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
So this is a very exciting, because I'll tell you what, the moment we think entrepreneurship, the first fear that comes to the mind is where is the money coming from? Okay, where will the money, where will I get the money to start? Because everything you want to start, there has to be, there is a financial component in that. So Rahul Sharma, his father gave him 3 lakh rupees. Now, all of our parents might not be that well off to give us this 5 lakh or 10 lakh rupees to start. And they might not be willing also to take that risk on us. Okay, so our Prime Minister says nothing to worry. Okay, we'll give you the money. You come up. You take that courage. Show us that courage. You show us the determination. You show us that plan. Okay, and we are ready with the money. We are ready to support you financially. We'll give you all kind of support. As I said, right now the thought process has entered in our country also that we not only need to give jobs to people, but we also need people who are going to create jobs for others. Okay, that is where the entrepreneurship thought comes, and it is being well off supported by the government. It is supported by banks. It is supported by a lot of organizations, venture capitalists, and I say people like Rahul Sharma and others can actually become an entrepreneur in India. It is perfectly possible. So let me give a small definition of entrepreneurship. Who is an entrepreneur? As Madam said, I have done French and German, and also entrepreneurship actually comes from a French word, which is actually 2 words, entre and prompt. Entre means to be in between, and prompt means to take. So what does this basically means? Is the person who takes that opportunity that lies between the buyer and the seller. So there is somebody who is looking for a particular product, and there is somebody who can supply that product. Okay, so I'll give you a very small example. Is that one of the biggest fear that we have when we travel to some new city is which hotel we are going to stay. Okay, so Ritesh Agarwal has solved that problem. He has created Oyo. Okay, through Oyo, we can actually book the rooms, and we know it is a safe hotel. Oyo ranks it out there. Similarly, Ola and Uber. If you look at Ola and Uber, we were very troubled with taxis. Okay, that most of the taxis don't stop when we ask them. They ask double fare. They exploit the passengers. Oyo and Ola has created, Ola and Uber has created that app-based booking where you can easily book, and within 5 minutes the cab will come and you can easily take a ride, and they will not cheat you. It will be a transparent process. Similarly, there is a company called 1mg who can supply medicines to your home. Then there is Amazon and Flipkart who is supplying things at your home. So this kind of opportunities has been, the entrepreneurs have spotted these opportunities. They've identified these opportunities and they have created business models around them. So this is the definition of entrepreneurship that we give. Now, what are the characteristics of a successful entrepreneur? Whom do we say is a successful entrepreneur? Somebody, to be an entrepreneur, the first thing that you need is passion. Many people start becoming entrepreneur thinking that I'll become a millionaire and I'll become a billionaire, and then they fail. And they say that no, entrepreneurship is not my game. Okay, now the problem with this kind of people is that, do you have the passion inside you? Okay, that I want to do something different. So there was this student of mine who came to me and said that she actually loved to go to spas and all. And she said that, sir, there is a problem. I see that most of the spas, okay, they are not very safe. Okay, they put cameras and all, and they take all these pictures and they create problem for you. So I want to do something different. I want to provide spa at home. So she created a product which is called Home Spa. So she created a vehicle. So if you want the spa, that vehicle will come to your house, and she will set up the whole spa in your home only, total safety and everything. And she will provide the spa services out there. That worked so well that ultimately she sold her business for 80 lakhs, and then she started another new line of business. She was passionate. I love spa and I love all these things, so let me passionately follow that. So do you have that kind of passion for something? Okay, it can be mobile phones, it can be technology, it can be artificial intelligence, it can be something, whatever. Number two, when you start a business, the most important thing that is required is discipline. It's not that today I'm feeling excited, so I'll go and do something great. Tomorrow I'm not feeling that great, so I'll keep quiet. Not like that. It has to be disciplined. It has to be with a plan. Okay, this is stage one, this is stage two, stage three. This is how I grow. And I have a plan for risk management also. In case it does not work, plan A doesn't work, I have got a plan B also. Pursuing only the best opportunities. You might be passionate about something, but it is not feasible. Okay, so going out there and creating that, then it's useless. So if you tomorrow you say that I want to start a cola company. Now Coca-Cola and Pepsi are very strong. If you go there, they will destroy you. Okay, so it's very difficult to start out there. Right now I am seeing that there's a new company which has come up called Signal. They're fighting against WhatsApp. But then WhatsApp is so powerful that it is becoming very difficult for Signal to get subscribers out there. So you have to look at opportunities which are feasible, okay, which are best for you, which can give you good revenues at low risk. You should be adaptive in execution. When we start, first in the planning stage, it feels very exciting. We'll do this, we'll do that, and all that. When we actually come to the ground level, then we feel, no, it's so difficult. No, it's not my cup of tea. So you have to be adaptive. Okay, fine. Plan A is not working. I've got plan B. Okay, I'll do some adaptations, and I'll do some. Flipkart and Amazon, if you look at their business model, they started with selling books. But then they realized they were not going to make much money by selling books. So they diversified into mobile phones and consumer durables and other items, and they started making a lot of money. Okay, so you have to be adaptive. And the next one is synergy in energy. So you have got a lot of energy inside you, but that energy has to be channelized in the right manner. Okay, into marketing, into manpower management, into financial management. It has to be channelized. Okay, it has to be worked out in the right way. Only then you can become a successful entrepreneur. So as I said, right now in India, we have got a lot of success stories. Okay, we have got around more than 30 companies who have become, we call them unicorns. What are these unicorns? These unicorns are billion-dollar companies. Okay, so we have got Paytm, we have got Baiju, we have got Just Dial, we have got Swiggy, we have got Ola, Flipkart, Infibeam, Snapdeal, Musicma, InMobi, MakeMyTrip, InfoEdge, Infibeam, Zomato, Quikr, ShopClues, Hike. These are all Indian companies. These are not multinational or foreign companies. These are Indian companies. Most of them have been started by young people like you. So they had an idea and they went ahead and they implemented the idea. And this really happened. So what are the opportunities? So this is about the ideation stage. Now let me talk about the opportunities. What are the opportunities that lie ahead of you? What can you do? So OYO, I told you, is a great story. So let me show you the, sorry. Let me show you the OYO video. So OYO is started by a very young person like you only, Ritesh Agarwal, who started it when he was even in the teenagers. Okay, he started and he created that, and he's still very young and he's a billionaire. Okay, and he's a billionaire because he actually dared. He got an opportunity, he took that opportunity and he dared to do that. So let me show you a small video of this.
City is just one of the ways to get it. So I've
time for our very own startup rock stars. First up, a boy from Raigada district, Odisha, who was in 5 short years, has ridden on his unicorn named OYO into China and now even the UK. If OYO continues to grow at this blistering pace, which it just might with over $1 billion in the bank, by 2022, it will be the largest hotel chain in the world. Will it meet the test of sense, simplicity and sustainability? We'll know it. But for now, let's celebrate this almost 25-year-old for his passion, gumption and business acumen. Please put your hands together for Ritesh Agarwal.
Thank you so much for having me here. Just came in from China to be a part of this event because I've always heard great things about it. It's an honor to be here. Today the topic was taking an Indian startup global. Now, we're just getting started in that journey. So I feel it is still very early for us to become like a big global giant and so on. So long story that needs to be written in the years to come, whether good or bad. But regardless, I will take the opportunity today to share a few things. One, I'll first introduce by telling a little bit about myself and our company. And then maybe a few stories that I have had access to being a part of this amazing company called OYO. So hi, I'm Ritesh, started OYO Hotels roughly 4.5 years back. The mission was very straightforward. How can we create great living spaces for common man in India? In the last 4.5 years, we today manage India's largest hotel chain, close to 145,000 leased and franchised keys, which is close to double of all the other branded hotel chains combined. So not only is South Asia's largest hotel chain, the top 4 hotel chains in China, and increasingly opening over 60,000 franchised or leased keys worldwide, making us the world's fastest growing hotel chain as we speak. We are lucky about the impact we get to create. Every night across the world, at least 200,000 heads are on OYO Hotels pillows as a place which they trust, and it wouldn't have been possible without the support of the OYOpreneurs, OYO's distributor leadership, and of course the broader startup ecosystem, because I generally say I publicly grew up in front of the broader Indian startup ecosystem, because people have seen me right from the time I used to be a hungry young teenager to now, when I still believe that I'm still young and hungry, not a teenager anymore, and hopefully we'll continue building the company in front of all of you with your support and blessings for the years to come. The first story is about growing up.
Okay, so let me tell this story in a brief. Okay, it's a long video. So when Ritesh Agarwal, what he said, he was a hungry young entrepreneur. So what he loved to do, again, I talk about the passion. So what was his passion? His passion was traveling. He loved to travel. Okay, so and he realized one issue out there, that most of the hotels were actually not giving the kind of services that customers expected from them, and they were charging heavily. Many of the hotels were not even safe. So whenever people used to travel, they had a fear in their mind that is the hotel that I'm going to safe or not. Okay, so he said that okay, let me do something about it. He went out to all the hotels and said, you take that OYO certification, I'll aggregate all the information, I'll put it on a digital platform, so that anybody who is looking at a hotel.
Sir, sorry, sir. Sir, we can't hear you. I think you've gotten mute, sir. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay,
Yes.
am I audible?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
So in case I get muted, just let me know. Okay, great.
Sure, sir.
Okay, thank you. What I was telling that Ritesh Agarwal as a young teenager, he noticed a problem. The problem was that whenever you go to a new city, how do you find a good hotel? Most of the hotels they say very good, but then are they really good? Okay, and are they charging the right prices? Are they safe? So he went to all the hotels and he said that what I'll give you is the OYO certification, and I'll aggregate your information and put it on the website, put it on online, so that customers, when they come to a particular city, they will find your hotel and they will book it and will charge a commission. So OYO never created a hotel, but OYO right now owns the largest chain of hotels in the world, fourth largest. Okay, so it was not a hotel business, it was an aggregate business. Traveling was his passion. What I showed you right now, that you should choose a business that is your passion. You should choose the right kind of opportunity. You should have a plan which is easily executable, and you should have a plan B also ready with you. So OYO is the story of that. What was the passion of Ritesh Agarwal? Was traveling. And he noticed a problem. The problem is that people are looking for good hotels and not getting it. So he did not have the money to create a hotel, but he could always create a software with which the information could be aggregated and it could be put online. Okay, and he did it. He's a billionaire right now. He's just 25 or 26 years old, and he's a billionaire. Okay, so what are the opportunities right now? This last year, 2020, we have seen a lot of deaths and destructions. Okay, we have seen 75 million cases, around 20 million deaths. We have seen 1 crore cases in India, loss of livelihood, big blow to the business. 2020 was all about negative sentiments. Forget business. The question that came up in 2020 was that, will I be alive by the end of the year? Today, the scenario is different. Already vaccines have come. Okay, so what did we do in 2020? We did social distancing. We closed down all schools, colleges, universities, all these things, theaters and airlines, traveling, everything we stopped. The whole world went into a seizure, and we did social distancing. We said, stay in your home, don't come out of your home. We imposed travel restrictions. We quarantined people for 15 days, 1 month. People were quarantined at different quarantine facilities. We shut down all schools, colleges, theaters, stadiums, places of worship. And it was a death blow to aviation, hospitality, tourism industry. Many people lost jobs. Many people lost their lives also. So forget this business. 2020 was the year when we were thinking, will we come out alive of this? And what did we do? Now we are human beings. So whenever we are faced with a problem, we try to look for a solution. So we looked for a solution. What was the solution? Work from home, online business, the digital marketing and digital business. Schools, colleges, they also went online. And since we could not get human beings, we started using chatbots, artificial intelligence. And what grew up among this pandemic, among this fear psychosis, among this mayhem that happened, what came up was technology-enabled business. This is what I'm going to talk to you about today, that the new age opportunities in entrepreneurship are going to come from here. These 3 words that I've used here, technology-enabled business. If you have got a thought in mind, if you have got an idea in mind, if you have got something in mind, make it attuned to this. Okay, think of it that how can I apply technology? Like OYO example I gave you. What Ritesh Agarwal did not create a hotel. What he created was an online platform which aggregated the information. So he created a technology-enabled business and he became a billionaire. Okay, so this is the next generation of opportunities that are going to come. How it is going to come? This is going to come using technologies like digital marketing, artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, IoT, big data, and all this. And if you think that these are all science fictions or only this happens only in Europe and America, it's not that. It's happening in India right now. We at Watson University are doing a lot of experimentation and a lot of development on this. I'll show you a video at the end of this. Okay, that what we are doing in the university. We are actually working on this kind of technologies. We are training our students on this because this is the future. Okay, your future things, already Elon Musk has come to India, Tesla has come to India. So very soon you will see driverless car. Okay, you will see on the roads, cars are going, there is no driver. Okay, this is going to become reality. Already we are seeing intelligent smart machines, we call it. Okay, we have got a device called Alexa. I don't know whether if somebody has used Alexa in Europe and America. Alexa is very common. So people wake up in the morning and say, Alexa, switch on the light. And the lights are switched on. Alexa, make the coffee. Coffee is ready. Alexa, play the music. Alexa, book the flight ticket, or Alexa, book the movie ticket. Alexa is doing everything. Okay, Alexa is a smart bot, okay, by Amazon. So something like that, we are now becoming digital citizens. Okay, we are moving into the realms of technology and artificial intelligence and all that. Okay, and chatbots, I spoke a little while ago that nowadays we have got robots and chatbots who are doing the jobs of human beings. Okay, so Apple has got Siri, Google has got Google Assistant, Amazon has got Alexa, Microsoft has got Cortana, Samsung has got Bixby, IBM has got Watson. Okay, and a lot of work are happening right now in artificial intelligence, natural language processing and all. I'll tell you my practical experience in this lockdown during this summer holidays. My son had gone to my native place, which is in Northeast, and immediately there was lockdown. So we wanted to bring him back, and it was very difficult for us. Flight tickets, flights were not operating. When we called up this airlines office, they said nobody is there in the office. And then they said, okay, don't worry, there is a smart bot. Bot will answer your questions. So we chatted with the bot, and the bot booked the tickets and all, and we could bring our son back. Okay, so this is the new age thing that is going to happen. So this is the thought process that I want to give you in this forum, that think in terms of technology. Okay, that how do you use, and another great thing I'll tell you today is that vaccines, if you talk about vaccines, it takes around 15 to 20 years to make a vaccine. Now look at the coronavirus vaccine. Okay, it was done in 6 months. So for a vaccine which needs 15 to 20 years, how could they do it in 6 months? This was possible again because of technology. Okay, they've used high-end computers and processing and all that, simulation exercises and all, which were done out there, and through that they could actually do it. It's a great achievement, I should say, of the doctors and scientists who have actually done it, who have saved us. Okay, they've come out with the vaccine within 6 months. So this is where we are heading towards. So what are the sectors? If you're thinking in terms of that, okay, fine, I'm very excited, so I want to also do something out there. What can I do? Okay, so here I'm outlining some sectors which are looking very promising. One of them is EduTech. Okay, as you know that before 2020, online classes were not very popular. There were a lot of Coursera and all that were there. Okay, but not many people liked it. People like that, okay, we'll go to a teacher, teacher will come physically and teacher will teach us, we will ask questions to the teacher. But 2020, we were forced to go online. Okay, and we have started using mobile laptops, and we have started using Zoom and Microsoft and Google Meet and all that. We have started using this. Most of us even didn't know about all this. Google Meet came very recently. And Zoom, we did not know what was Zoom. Okay, but we have adapted to Zoom, we have learned Zoom, and today that's a reality. Okay, it's not, if it is not physically possible to go out to the teacher or to go and learn something new, you can always sit in your home and learn the best of things. This is called EduTech. And there is one person who has made it very successful, and that person is called Baiju Ravindranath. Let me show you a video. The person who created a great business model out of EduTech.
His company has become one of the most valuable education startups in the world. Using technology to disrupt the way students learn, His company has become one of the most valuable education startups in the world. After making his app a success in India, he's now eyeing new markets across the globe. Meet Baiju Ravindran, one of India's game changers.
21st century illiterates are the ones who can't learn, unlearn and relearn.
He's betting big on Indians aspiring for a better life.
After food and shelter, most of the Indian parents' next big spend will be on education.
His humble background has played a key role in setting up a multi-billion-dollar business.
I come from a small village, but contrary to what people think, that's your biggest advantage.
The earth is a beautiful and
It's the app that's taken the country by storm.
A, B,
And it's named after this man, Baiju Ravindran.
Students love the app because it's given in a format which they like, using movie-like videos and game-like interactions.
And here I have a card.
Baiju's offers a range of learning videos.
Sir, please unmute yourself, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 5 years back, we used to tell the children not to use mobile phones, and we were very afraid that children will become addicted to the mobile games and they will not study and all. Okay, so mobile phone was a total anathema. We never liked the children. Today, the whole thing has changed drastically. Now, just before the lockdown, I had actually taken away the mobile phone from my son. I said, you should not, he was becoming a game addict. I took away the mobile phone. And during the lockdown, I gave him a 25,000 rupees mobile phone because he could not attend classes. Okay, so today we are giving mobile phone, and Baiju Ravindran has understood this opportunity. This is what we talk about in EduTech. He has understood that technology is not just about playing games and all. Technology can also be used to teach the children. How do you teach the children? Today's children don't like to read books. Okay, we used to read thick books and go to libraries, bring the books, read them, underline them, write notes and all. Today's generation children don't like that. Many of my students, they just take photographs with their mobile phones and say, sir, we don't want to write. We just want to take the photographs and we'll study from our mobile. They're all, our whole life is attuned towards mobiles. And Baiju Ravindran has taken it as an opportunity. He said, fine, if it is mobile, you are hooked onto the mobile, let it be great. Now let me teach you how to use this mobile and laptop in the right manner to undergo training for teaching. Okay, so he has created that app, he has created this three-dimensional interactive features through which children are loving it. Okay, it's doing pretty well. Number two is health tech. Again, we have got a shortage of doctors, despite producing huge number of doctors in the country, we have got a shortage of doctors. Okay, and how to reach out to the best doctors in the city, we don't know. Okay, so there is a great opportunity coming up in health tech. How health tech is happening today, you must be seeing there are a lot of gadgets which are coming up. Okay, so people are, this smart watches and all that gadgets are coming. So you put the gadget in your hand and the gadget will monitor your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your pulse and everything. And the gadget will send the message to the doctor. If there is some kind of anomaly, some kind of warning signal that is coming up, they will send to the doctor. Doctor will call you up. Your health is not all right. Please take the medicine and all that. So this is health tech. Okay, where technology is coming into. You need not be a doctor. If you think in terms of technology, you can create that kind of app, or you can create that kind of thing where you connect the doctors with the patients, okay, and help them out to get the best of healthcare facilities. Then there is fintech. Nowadays, you must be seeing that there is coming, take a loan in 10 minutes. Previously, to get a loan, we have to go to the bank, stand in a line, submit papers, then the bank manager will go through everything, then somebody will come to our house, check our credibility and everything. It used to take almost 6 to 8 months to get a loan. And today, banks are saying take a loan in 10 minutes. Okay, you just log in and online we will check your Aadhaar card and your track records, your everything will check. CIBIL number and everything we'll check, and then we'll sanction you the loan within 10 minutes. This is called fintech. Not only that, today most of the payments we are making with Paytm. Paytm is another company, again started by a middle class person from Aligarh. All these examples I'm giving today are all people who have come from small villages. Baiju Ravindran is from a small village in Kerala. Vijay Shekhar Sharma, who started Paytm, he's from a small city of Aligarh. So these are all the people are not from Mumbai, Delhi, and metro cities. They're coming from small cities across the country. They're not from super rich families. They're from middle class families. But again, that passion, that passion, finding out the right idea, implementing the idea, discipline, they did it. So like Paytm, there are a lot of opportunities which are opening up in fintech. Agriculture, you must be seeing a lot of protest by farmers and everything happening. And there are a lot of other companies also who are making the lives of farmers better. They're telling the farmers that what will be the weather forecast, what will be the price futures, what kind of pesticides they should use, what kind of technology they should use. That is called agri-tech, which is coming up in a big manner. Then there is a media tech. So all these movie theaters and all are closed. So what do we do now? We go to Amazon Prime and watch the movies. So we have got OTT. Right now we have got OTT platform where we see these movies, serials, and webinars, web series and all we are seeing. We watch news on the mobile phone. This is called media tech. So media tech is another great opportunity which is coming up. Then there are online service providers. I showed you, I started this session with 3 examples of my 3 students. What they're doing is they're providing groceries and vegetables to the people online. So people have to just book it on the mobile phone and they will provide it at their home. So there are plenty such opportunities which are coming up through online service providers, and the other model is aggregators. So Amazon, Flipkart and all, they are aggregators. Oyo is an aggregator. They are not creating hotels or something. They're aggregating the information, putting it in a single platform, and the customers can actually go and book their services and products out there. So these are the opportunities which are coming up now. Again, I'm emphasizing on one thing: whatever you are thinking, think in terms of technology. EduTech, health tech, fintech, agri-tech, media tech, aggregator, online service provider. The common theme among all of them is technology. So if it is backed by technology, money will not be a problem. Government is there to fund you. Government will give you the resources. Government will give you the office. There are incubators and accelerators in IITs, IIM, Voxen. We have the incubator and accelerator. So all these universities have it. You will get space out there. You will get the support out there, and you can do very well. My third part of the presentation is about the process. Now, if you are excited that, yes, I want to become an entrepreneur, how do I do it? So what is the process behind it? So process starts with an idea, like Baiju and the Oyo example I gave you and the Micromax example I gave you, all started with an idea that, yes, we can do something. We can do something new which is not there in the market, and we can get the customers also for that. So this is an idea which comes to your brain, and then you look at the opportunities. Is it a good idea to start? For example, I told you cola. If you say that I want to start a cola, the Coca-Cola and Pepsi are very strong. You cannot do it. Very difficult to break into the market. But there is a company called Paper Boat, who has entered the market. They say that we will not sell cola. Cola is unhealthy. We will sell fruit juice, which is healthy. We'll give you a healthy option against the cola. And Paper Boat is doing very well against the. Paper Boat is a new company, and Coca-Cola, Pepsi are 100-year-old company. And Paper Boat is entered out there, and they're doing pretty well. So you have to realize that opportunity, that there is an opportunity. Let me take that opportunity. Engage the idea and the opportunity. So the opportunity is also there, idea is also there. So let me join both of them, and let us create a business plan around that idea and opportunity. That this is what I'm going to do. This will be my market. This is my financial plan. This is my marketing plan. And become the project champion, that is exploiting the opportunity to build something of value. Value is an important word here. Whenever you are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, think that how am I going to give value to my customer? How am I going to give value to the society? How am I going to give value to the country? The first video I showed you, Rahul Sharma was talking that I want to give a mobile phone, which is very good to the to my country people, but not just because it's a mobile phone, but because I want to compete against the Chinese. I want to do something for my country. So you look at in terms of this, exploiting the opportunity to build something of value. Okay, so this will be the journey. If you become an entrepreneur, you will go through all these journeys. Okay, that first of all, the thought will come that, okay, let me do something new, which is not there in the market. You will spot the opportunity, but then there will be obstacles. There will be a lot of difficulties. Like the first video I showed you, Rahul Sharma, he faced a lot of difficulties. Today, Ritesh Agarwal is facing a lot of difficulties in Oyo because last year has been very bad. Hotels have been closed. People were not traveling. Oyo is not doing well at this moment. But you have to take control. You should not be afraid. You should take control that, okay, fine. Difficulties will come. I have a plan B. Okay, this is how I'm going to manage and I'm going to come out of it. Last year was bad, but this year might be good because we have got the vaccine and everything. Okay, so you have to back on financial capital. Okay, so you should have a good financial, as you make profits, some amount of profits you have to save for a rainy day, for the risk and all that. You have to have good social contacts. You should meet people, you should take ideas, and you should have a aesthetic capital. Aesthetic capital means what? If you are honest. Okay, if you are honest, if you are trustworthy, if you are hardworking, people will respect you. Even if you are not doing well, people will come and support you. If you are dishonest, if you are just trying to cheat people and make some quick money, then you will not have this aesthetic capital. Then nobody is going to support you. Something like Vijay Mallya and all that will happen, that if you are not doing well, you have to run away from the country. But if you are honest, if you are doing the business properly, and then you are into difficulties, government will support you, banks will support you, there will be consultants and people who are going to come, and ups and downs are there. In life, ups and downs are there, business also ups and downs are there. Okay, so this is the life cycle that you will go through as an entrepreneur. You should have the positive attitude always. Okay, you should not be bogged down by troubles, should have a positive attitude. You have to inculcate some skills. Okay, what we are doing, I told you in your Wuxen University, we are also creating entrepreneurs. We are training the people on technology. We are training our students on technology, how to use artificial intelligence and all that. Then there is a cultural framework. The society, you should also think about the society. Okay, that I should not do something which is society does not like. Okay, so today that farming protest and all this, government has made some laws which farmers don't like. Okay, so you should not do something like that, which the society, you are harming the society, should not do. Then there is a regulatory framework. Whatever you want to do, there are some rules and regulations which you have to follow. So do it as per the rules and regulations. You have to pay taxes and all that in time. You have to pay minimum wages to the employees. Okay, so you should follow all that. Then there is a market framework. Okay, who are my customers? Who are the competitors? What is the price at which the customer gets the value? And there is a networking. Networking means you should be networking with the regulators. You should be networking with the banks, financial institutions, your customers. You should create a great ecosystem, okay, which will help you. So this was about the presentation. Now let me tell you a little bit, 2 minutes before I end, and then I'll take the questions. About our Wuxen University, we are actually doing it. What I'm saying is not just a lecture, but we are doing things at Wuxen University. So let me show you, So let me show you what we are doing here in our university. So this is something which we have created. It's called a robot guard.
Welcome, Chandani.
Wuxen. What projects are done by students in the robotic lab?
In the robotics lab, the projects which will be done by our students are line follower using magnetic sensor, chatbot, hexapod, drone, small pick and place arm, self-balancing robot, gesture-controlled arm, home automation, vision-based robot and 3D mapping / SLAM robot.
Sir, please unmute yourself, sir.
Okay, so this was one video. What we are doing, let me show one more video. So very exciting things we are doing here.
What is the infrastructure available at Oakson School of Technology?
In the School of Technology, we have a physics lab, a chemistry lab, a computer science lab, electrical lab, workshop, robotics lab and AI lab.
What are the facilities at Oakson School of Technology?
In the School of Technology, we have high-end facilities like a 3D printing machine, laser cutting machines, robotic workshop, metal workshop, CNC machine, dip soldering machine, acrylic bending machine, sheet shearing and bending machine, and many more.
So this is what we are practically doing at this moment with our students. We are not only giving lectures that you should go into technology, we are actually training our students how to go into technology and what are the opportunities lying. And this is the future actually, because we have seen with pandemic and everything that not everything can be done by human beings. Okay, so we have to depend on robots and bots and different others. So that is what I'm telling you, that this is a great opportunity for you. Okay, you can think, you can start small also. You can start with your laptop and internet connection. You can start thinking. We call it the digital entrepreneur. So today, if you want to become an entrepreneur, you don't need a big office and a lot of employees and all that. You can just use your laptop and internet, and you can sit down and you can start small. I'll end with a small example of what my niece is doing. My niece works at IBM, and in Bangalore, she is running a cake shop. So she doesn't have a shop. She loves baking. Passion is in baking. So what she does is she makes cakes and she posts these pictures on Facebook. And the customers order. She has got a third party pickup for pickup. So they will come with the box, they pick up the cakes and they deliver it to the customer, and the customer pays her online. Simple model. She doesn't have a shop. She doesn't have employees. She doesn't have a big production unit and all that. Nothing. She's just using Facebook and she's doing the business. So you can also do it. If you think about becoming an entrepreneur, don't think that I should have 1 crore or 10 crores, only then I can start. No, nothing like that. You can start with 100 rupees also. Okay. And the government, as I showed you, I started with the first PPT. I showed you that it's very exciting because today Prime Minister has announced there's a 1,000 crore fund for you. Okay. The Prime Minister is inviting young people like you, come forward, give us your great ideas and take the bold step. Don't just look for jobs. Become the Bill Gates, become the Steve Jobs. Okay, become the Baiju Ravindran. Okay, become the Ritesh Agarwal of tomorrow. Okay, and the government is there to support you. We are there to support you. The banks are there to support you. You have got a great ecosystem which is there for you. Only thing, you have to have a passion and you should have the courage and the discipline. If these three things are there, no stopping. Thank you very much. I hope you liked the session. So I would love to take questions.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. That was such a inspiring and motivating session. And especially since you've taken Indian examples, I'm sure everybody, all the students present here, all the aspiring entrepreneurs can see themselves as future Ritesh and future Mr. Sharma. So the forum is now open for questions. If any one of you have any questions, please type it in the chat box. Or if you have logged in through your desktop or laptop, there is an option Q&A. You can put your questions there, and then we'll put those questions to sir. While the students are typing in questions, I have a question for you, sir. Do we need a particular kind of education to become an entrepreneur? Do we need to do BBA, or do we need to be from a an engineering background? What should be our educational background to become an entrepreneur?
Madam, to speak honestly, actually, what we have seen, the first generation entrepreneurs, they really did not need any kind of formal education. But in today's context, if I am talking 50 years ago, I would have answered that no, there is no formal education needed. The only passion can take you forward and do it. But today's context, I would say that a formal education is very much required because the business systems today are very intricate, and as I said, there has to be a learning on technology. Every business today is making the shift towards technology. So if you are starting, so if you are starting without a formal education, then the chances of success failure becomes 50-50. But if you have gone through a process, if you have gone through a systematic learning, chances of success and failure becomes 80-20. Still there is a chance of failure, but that is 80-20, number one. Number two, why we encourage students to come into a formal system like a university, college, and institution is the backup that you are going to get. Now, Prime Minister has announced there is a 1,000 crore fund. How will you apply for this fund? Whom will you talk to? If you go and call up Narendra Modi directly, he will not answer your question. Okay, or you talk to these IAS officers, they will not answer your question. There's a formal process for it, how you can get access to those funds or the facilities which government has giving. For that, what you need today, the most important thing is a mentor. Okay, so who is your mentor? Your teacher is going to be the mentor. When you come to a college or a university, your teacher becomes a mentor. As I showed you examples, I am personally mentoring a lot of startups and they're doing pretty well. Okay, so like that, many other universities, colleges, IITs, IIMs, and all this, mentoring has become a very important part of our teaching process, where we are hand-holding the students how to go about it, and you need that. Okay, so if you go without a formal education, again, chances are 50-50. But if you come to a university, this is the advantages you get.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Any other questions? Anybody else has anything to ask?
If you can type also in the message box.
I have another question for you, sir. You did encourage that, formal education is important. So let us say somebody is an engineer, he has the technological background. Does such a person need to pursue an MBA? Will that help?
Again, the same kind of thing I'll answer, that if you do an MBA, the difference between an engineer and MBA is that engineer is somebody who understands the technology very well. But in MBA, what we teach is the different aspects of business. Business is not just about technology. Business is also about marketing, about managing people, about financial management, about operation management. So those kind of, and overall, of course, managing the whole company, corporate structures. Should you start a partnership firm? Should you start a public company? Should you start a private company? Okay, so all kind of questions are there which you will not understand as an engineer. As an engineer, you will understand the technology. So what is going to happen if you are an engineer and you start a company? You will be dependent on a lot of people. For marketing, you will be dependent on somebody. For finance, you will be dependent on somebody. For HR, you will be dependent on somebody. You cannot individually take all these critical decisions. And sometimes what happens is these people create trouble for you because you don't know the actual systems. They will take advantage of that. But if you are an MBA, now you have got clear-cut knowledge about all these aspects. Besides engineering, you also know about marketing, finance, HR. So if somebody wants to do something fishy in your company also, you can immediately raise the flag that this is not like that. I know the process. Okay, and you know about these companies. So we always encourage engineering and MBA is a great combination. If you have an engineering and you have an MBA, that's great. As I said, we are moving into technology. Even if you are not an engineer, okay, today what is happening in MBA, we are teaching MBA in artificial intelligence, MBA in data analytics. Okay, so we are ingraining those subjects inside MBA so that you are adapted to technology also. Okay, so we are giving you that whole lot of competencies which you will be needing to ultimately become an entrepreneur. Okay, there's a question that formal education, is there any restriction for an entrepreneur? Is there any age restriction for entrepreneur? No. I'll give you a very big example is that KFC was started by Colonel Sanders at the age of 65. Okay, at the age of 65, he started KFC, and KFC is one of the biggest fast food joints across the world. Walmart was started at the age of 45, Sam Walton started it. Okay, so there is absolutely no age restriction. It is all about your passion. So for some people, they think like yoga, like I showed you this Oyo example, I showed you Ritesh Agarwal. For him at the teenage, he decided I'll become an entrepreneur. Okay, I don't want to do any job or something. I have to be an entrepreneur. And he became an entrepreneur. But for some people like Vijay Shekhar Sharma and others, they did some jobs also. After some time, they decided that, okay, we want to become an entrepreneur. So it comes at a different stages. It comes. It's not about age. It's, as I said, it's about your passion. It's about identifying the right opportunity. Okay, it's about discipline that you have inside yourself, and it's about your risk-taking capability. Having said that, let me put a very important point out here. The moment you are married and you have got children, then your risk-taking capacity comes down. Because then you start thinking, I have to pay the rent, electricity bill, children's education. Okay, then we become very afraid to take the risk. Okay, so before marriage, if you start, it's much better. But yes, if you're married also, there is a model which is used at IIT, IIMs. What they do is, husband is into business, wife is into job. Like Narayan Murthy example I can give you. Narayan Murthy started Infosys, but Sudha Murthy was working in Tata company. Okay, so there is that model which many at IIT, IIMs, and many people use it, that between husband and wife, one of them takes the risk, other one manages the family. So there are different models. So ultimately, it's all about your passion and your conviction and your identifying the right opportunity.
Thank you, sir. I hope Saitran that answers your question, and a very practical advice, sir. And another question from Aditi Korgaonkar. She's asking, institutes like this have courses such as social entrepreneurship. Is this course designed to teach us how to be an entrepreneur?
Okay, let me tell you, this is a very interesting part actually. What is a social entrepreneur? So social entrepreneurs are people who are not typically looking at profits. Okay, so we have got a lot of NGOs and non-profit organizations, something to do good about the society. Okay, that I want to take care of the elderly people. So there is an organization like CRY, Children Relief and You. Okay, there are organizations for old people, and there are organizations which are working on environmental protection. Okay, so this, what you said, social entrepreneurship, this is about people who are not bothered about profits. They don't want profits. They want to make a difference to the society, to the world, through their entrepreneurship. So if you are interested in that, then yes, this and all have got good courses, and these are good. Okay, Swati has a question. Can we start a business in a field different from our background? Is there someone from medical background starting a hotel? I'll give you a practical example to that. Sun Pharma was started by a person who is a chartered accountant. Okay, Sun Pharma is a medical company, the pharmaceutical company. Okay, the owner of Sun Pharma is actually a chartered accountant. He knows nothing about medicine. Okay, but he has done that. So it's absolutely possible, no harm in that. And the CEO of Indigo Airlines was also a chartered accountant. He was not a pilot. Okay, Aditya Ghosh, okay, he was a chartered accountant and he started it. So absolutely you can start different from your background. Can a person from medical background start a hotel? Absolutely, yes. Okay, if you are passionate about travel and all that, yes, you can think about it. But my advice to you is that don't start a hotel, because there are so many hotels and you'll be competing against them. Start a hotel which is different from other hotels. Okay, so you could say that my hotel is towards doing business meetings. I'm creating a hotel which will be customized for doing business meetings. Okay, or it will be a hotel which will give a rejuvenation, something like that. Think about a different thing, like what Ritesh Agarwal did. He did not start a hotel. He started an aggregator of hotels. Okay, so something like that. Think about something different. Can you get a recording of the session that Neha Madam will answer? I don't know. Okay. Is a USP a differentiator is important? Absolutely. Absolutely, Swati. USP is very important because otherwise what happens, like I gave the example of Coca-Cola and Pepsi, they are 100-year-old company. Now, if you go and start a cola company, they will destroy you. You cannot do that. But Paper Boat has come out with something. They've come out with fresh, organic and healthy juices. Okay, and they are now competing against Coca-Cola and they're doing better than Coca-Cola. So yes, you can do that. Indigo Airlines, they come out with low-cost airlines. So whenever you want to become an entrepreneur, think differently. We give the advice, think differently and do something new. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes,
I
sir.
think that
Thank you so much, sir. A very informative and educating session, and also the question and answer round helped us in, getting solutions to some of our doubts that we had. I now want to invite Dr. Swati Agarwal, who is also the founder partner of Gargi Knowledge Solutions, to present the vote of thanks.
Thanks, Neha. Thank you, sir, for a very highly engaging session. You have, started off the session by inspiring all of us with stories of Indians who have changed the business landscape. And, after that, you have also shown us very specific opportunities that all the individuals over here can use to start off on their own entrepreneurial journey. And, then you have talked about how, without passion, discipline, perseverance, and identifying the right opportunities, one can become an entrepreneur, but maybe not such a successful one. So, what are the key characteristics and factors that are important to become a successful entrepreneur? And that's really important for everyone to remember that it's not just about doing something, it's about doing something well, excelling in it, and becoming successful. But you've also talked about how there may be ups and downs, but we need to be strong, we need to be resilient, and how by building aesthetic capital, by adhering to certain ethical standards, we can ensure that whenever there are certain lows in our business journey, in our entrepreneurial journey, we can tide over them, we can move over them, and come out stronger at the end of the day. So, really, sir, thank you so much for a wonderful session. And it was great to have you join us and take us through this entire entrepreneurial process.
thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks to you, and thank you also to Watson University for connecting us to you. It's been a wealth of information for us.
As we are ending the session, just wanted to share a couple of things with all the participants who have joined the session. I'm shared a link in the chat box where you can share your reviews and your feedback about the session. We would really love to have that to keep improving the kind of sessions that we are providing to all of you through Gargi Knowledge Solutions. We would also love it if you can stay connected with us through different social media handles that we have. So you can connect with us on Instagram, you can connect with us on Facebook. We are also on Telegram. So you can find us either through by typing Gargi Knowledge Solutions, or you can find us on Telegram through the channel Career Gyan, where we constantly share updates about opportunities in different fields. We talk about entrance exams, university courses, and a lot of different things related to different careers that could help you become a success in whatever is your chosen field. So please do share, stay connected with us. We would love to hear from all of you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, once again for joining us. You can see the link for your reviews, and have a great day.
Bye, everyone.